Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Thomas. I'm one of the coordinators of the school counseling department. I'm joined tonight by my co-coordinator, Rebecca Castellano, Marianne Flatley, SEL counselor, Pamela Roth and Jacqueline Lee, middle school counselors. And at the high school, we also have Allison Winston, we have Thomas Rello, and Megan Bradley. A special thank you to Thomas Rello. He did help us put this presentation together, and I have to say, if it were up to me, it would probably be in black and white, so you'll see that it's full of color and it's really great, so we thank him for his technical skills. We really appreciate it. We're so happy and proud to share with you the work that we're doing in all three buildings. And I just want to give you a quick history lesson of school counseling. School counselors have been in existence since the early 20th century, so in the 1900s. We were vocational counselors back then. The primary focus was matching individuals to careers based on their interests and their skills. So school counseling obviously has evolved in so many ways since then, and even if you think back to the experience you had when you had a counselor years ago, and we were called guidance counselors back then because that was mainly the focus of our work. But if you think back to the guidance experience you had years ago, you would know that, there was very limited things that you worked with your counselor on, and now we just do so much more. So we're going to be talking to you about a lot of the different changes, a lot of the updates, and a lot of the things that we're doing in all three buildings. Okay. So the change in school counselor represents a recognition that the critical and multifaceted role that we play in schools. As school counselors, we worked tirelessly to work on this comprehensive plan. The role of the school counselor, like I had said, had definitely evolved from a vocational counselor to a more holistic and multidimensional support system that addresses students' academic, social, emotional, career, and post-secondary needs. So you can just see from the graphic all the different branches of the different work that we do. And we also are trying to promote equity and mental health awareness. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely work that's really important, and it definitely serves our students in the best ways possible. Okay. We'll be addressing the work that school counselors do in a multi-tiered system of support, MTSS. This is a comprehensive framework in school counseling that helps base students and give them the support that they need based on their individual needs. It's applied through a 3-tiered system. In Tier 1, which is where most of the work that we do and that we're going to highlight tonight is in, it's universal supports for all students. So it's classroom presentations, it's academic planning, when we sit down with our students to make their schedules, grade level initiatives, and different advisories that we have. So that's what Tier 1 is. Tier 2 is for students that need a little bit more support, more individualized support, or some group work, and things to address their specific needs. School Tier 3 is targeted interventions for students who need more intensified individual support to succeed in their educational journey. By integrating MTSS within school counseling, we're creating a supportive environment that addresses diverse student needs, which enhances academic achievement and personal growth. And I will add, we never do our work in isolation. We collaborate with a lot of individuals, and we're very grateful to do so. We work with school psychologists, student assistance counselors, administrators, outside agencies, and programs. So we never do any of this in a vacuum. We definitely thrive on all of the support that we get within our schools. I'm going to now introduce Ms. Marianne Flatley, who will talk about the wonderful work she's doing in the Bedford Road School.
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I wanted to start off by highlighting that this is my 4th school year as the K-12 Social Emotional Learning, or SEL counselor. Prior to this position, I was the student assistance counselor in the middle school and the high school for 6 years. And just as a reminder, the K-12 SEL counselor position was created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on our school community. So this year, as we start off, it's really exciting to reflect on how much we've grown. This year, through work with Dr. Alexander and our administrative team, we've introduced monthly district-wide SEL themes. These themes are rooted in CASEL's 5 core competencies for social emotional learning. That's self-awareness, self-regulation or self-management, social awareness, relationship building, and responsible decision making. These 5 core competencies shape both the American School Counselor Association's mindsets and behaviors for student success and the New York State SEL benchmarks for K-12 curriculum. So we're in October. October's theme is self-regulation, which is really an essential skill that empowers students to manage their emotions, their thoughts, their behaviors effectively, which can really enhance student learning. It fosters positive relationships, and it also helps students to not only recognize and identify their goals, but to achieve their goals. So self-regulation skills are really strengthened across the district in a variety of ways. These are just some examples on the screen right now. In this first picture, they're BRS students throughout October. All students, all teachers are creating mindfulness glitter jars, which is a great self-regulation tool. It's very simple. Glitter is put into a jar, and if you kind of spin the glitter in the jar, you see it's twirling around. It's very similar to the way that our strong emotions and our thoughts can really twirl around in our brains. And students understand that through taking deep breaths, through slowing down, just like the glitter kind of falls to the bottom of the jar, so too can our big emotions, and students understand that they learn best and they think best and they problem solve best when their brains and their bodies are calm. In the second picture, there's Miss Roth leading a 5th grade advisory in a guiding activity called Sun Breaths. And then the last picture is a picture from our freshman university that was held on the PSAT day of a mindful focus activity. Also, it is Red Ribbon Week. You may have noticed that there's a lot of red decorations inside and outside the building. Red Ribbon Week is the oldest substance abuse prevention initiative. It's nationally celebrated and something that we've celebrated for many years in Pleasantville. It's really about promoting healthy lifestyle choices, healthy ways to cope and manage with stress. And this year, it's very exciting that it is being celebrated in developmentally appropriate ways across all 3 buildings. It's very important, too, to thank our community partners. So Pleasantville Strong, Break the Hold, and Pleasantville Fun for Learning have been so helpful in supporting not only these events, but really SEL-focused events throughout the school year and many of the initiatives that my colleagues will be talking about later in the presentation. Just to echo what Mrs. Thomas was saying in terms of the multi-tiered system of support at the Bedford Road School, I think it's important to note that since my first year, the role of the K-12 SEL counselor has really evolved, and I've dedicated more time at BRS, where the MTSS for an elementary school counseling program really continues to grow. In terms of universal Tier 1 services at BRS for all students, that continues to include Fill a Bucket, as well as universal use of the zones of regulation and getting to green coping strategies. So this school year, I will be delivering direct instruction of 7 counseling lessons from kindergarten through 4th grade students from a curriculum that's really rooted in CASEL's 5 core competencies that I referenced earlier, and also really designed to meet the needs of BRS students. SEL topics include a variety of topics like personal space, assertive communication, healthy relationships, the importance of being an upstander, just to name a few. In terms of Tier 2 school counseling services, I am continuing to meet with students for individual and sometimes small group counseling to address social and emotional issues. And then as far as Tier 3 school counseling services, I am a member of the BRS Child Support Team, and I collaborate, as Mrs. Thomas said earlier, with teachers, psychologists, administrators, and families to find solutions for a variety of student challenges, assisting families with referral to outside services when needed. Before I hand it over to my colleagues in the middle school, I thought it was important to stress that continuous use of Tier 1 zones of regulation and getting to green strategies, these are posters that were started last school year. They're in all classrooms, they're in all shared spaces, and really all students, beginning in kindergarten, are developing a common language around emotions and coping skills. So when students leave BRS and they head to the middle school, they are met with consistent language that is applied in a developmentally appropriate way for them to now navigate the realities of middle school. So with that, I will pass it over to my colleague, Ms. Roth, who will share some exciting updates from the middle school. Thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. Good evening. Let me see if I could do this. Yes. Okay. So my name is Pam Roth. I'm one of the counselors at the middle school. I'm very happy to be here this evening. And as both Cheryl and Marianne mentioned, the middle school also uses the MTSS tiers of support. And the counselors are really an integral part of the tiers of support. We bring students and families through the entire process, whether it's just remaining at tier 1 or going through up to tier 3. We kind of guide families and students throughout that process. So speaking of integral parts, I need to welcome my new colleague, Jackie Lee, to the department. I said I would embarrass her this evening. So we're happy to have her. She brings fresh energy and new perspectives to the team. And she eagerly jumped in to join Marianne and I over the summer to do curriculum writing for our advisory and SEL lessons. So at the end of every school year, we take time to reflect on our programs. We meet collectively with our administrators and we process behavioral data as well as student, teacher, and parent voices to help us create and mold our programs. So at the end of the year, we did that. We took our information and we heard lots of student and parents' voices about things that they would like to see addressed in the middle school through social emotional learning. And that really guided our curriculum writing and summer work. So as we know, middle school is one of the most rapidly developing periods for a young mind. I often describe the middle school experience like a roller coaster ride. So emotions go up and down, thoughts go up and down on a daily basis, and it could be exciting and fun. It could also produce anxiety, and it could be scary. And sometimes we even scream. Our focus is really to foster mindfulness as well as self-regulation and distress tolerance so that we can work towards a safe and inclusive environment where students can thrive both academically and socially. This year's advisory themes focus on building community, fostering personal responsibility, relationship skills, and student-to-student mentorship. So these are just a few photos of some of our advisory and peer leadership activities that we've done. I'll talk a little bit about the peer leadership activity that you see where the students are climbing the wall and having a lot of fun. So each lesson is anchored in mindfulness practices using both Breathe for Change and DBT principles. We use grounding techniques to work towards getting to green and functioning in what we call the wise mind. So as Marianne mentioned, when students are in that zone, they can function with a wise mind in a calm way, be open to learning, and make good, positive decisions. So these are the zones of regulations, and Jackie will elaborate on that more in a moment. In terms of our leadership and peer-to-peer mentors, our student council works very collaboratively with the administration and the counseling staff to help create a positive culture and climate throughout the building. So thanks to Pleasantville Strong, we had an amazing kickoff event this year. Those are the pictures at Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. Students took part in an outdoor team building workshop where they learned how to solve complex tasks as a group using different modalities of communication. So it was a lot of fun. The kids enjoyed it, and they communicated in ways that they're not always used to doing. So it was a big learning experience. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jackie, who's going to elaborate more on some of the programs we spoke about.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jackie Lee, new school counselor. This year, we are so excited to bring the SEL posters and zones of regulation language that BRS introduced last year to the middle school. Our Getting to Green SEL posters are displayed in classrooms and shared spaces throughout the building. And the counseling team began this school year by providing professional development to all of our faculty and by pushing into all grade 5 through 8 classrooms to introduce the new posters and to remind students of the zones of regulation, emotion regulation language, which many of them remembered. Students and faculty understand that while all zones are okay, operating in the green zone is when we learn best and make our best choices. It's important for middle school students to learn to regulate their own emotions and use coping strategies, and to understand the impact that their words and actions have on others. In addition to the posters, I also want to highlight the first major initiative of our student council, which was the celebration of unity on October 16th last week. This is a nationally recognized day which demonstrates a powerful message. We are committed to building community through kindness, inclusion, and acceptance. Unity Day serves as a reminder that bullying in any form is unacceptable and that every student deserves to feel safe, supported, and valued, whether in school, online, or in the wider community. Student Council encouraged all faculty and staff to wear orange to show support for kindness being the norm in Pleasantville Middle School. We're also very happy to share that BRS also participated in Unity Day by proudly wearing orange. It was a major success and the first of many impactful initiatives of this school year. I will now turn it over to Rebecca Castanello, who will speak on the high school counseling program.
So I'm closing. Good evening, everybody. I am happy to report on the work that's being done in the high school, and much like my colleagues in the other buildings, we too use the tiered system. I'm going to be spending time on the universal supports, or that tier 1. Our tier 2s and our tier 3s look very similar across buildings, so let's talk about what we do in the high school with tier 1, programs that impact all students. In the high school, we do things a little bit differently. We do it according to theme, and we do it according to the needs of that year. So let me move it over to the freshman year or the 9th grade year. It's about transitioning, not only transitioning into a new building, but transitioning into a new set of expectations, greater independence, learning how to advocate for yourself, making appointments. It's about working towards fostering connections to the school and other classmates, to the wider community at times. These photos or examples are just a handful of the programs that we've done so far. So we welcomed our freshmen with an orientation program that was actually led by our upperclassmen. I love Orientation Day. It allows our students to grow into positions of leadership by bringing in the freshmen. We turn the day over to them. They welcome them in, they walk them through the building, they give them an understanding of what it means to be in high school, but they don't just drop them on that day. They work with them through the fall. The other picture that you'll see on the bottom is the freshman social, and that just happened last week, where we invited them during activity period to have donuts. Seems simple, but it's a connection. It's a way of checking back in. The leaders were there, the freshmen were there, ostensibly to get a treat, but also to check in, which was a great opportunity. Top right is 9th grade university. That was an opportunity in early October while other grades were PSAT testing or working on college admissions. They were there to learn different modalities and taking care of themselves, taking care of each other, learning about healthy relationships. So, gives you an idea. Now, this isn't everything that we do for the 9th grade. This is just a taste of what we've done so far. For a full scope of the programming, I invite you to take a look at the comprehensive plan that we have online. I'm going to move into the 10th grade, the sophomore year. The sophomore year is really looking at making those connections between school and career. Not just about college, certainly that's part of it, but it's also looking at what your strengths are, what your interests are, and how that ties to greater experiences in the world. So we start off formally with a lesson that we do in classes, which we just did last Friday. And it's through our Schoollinks platform, which is our college and career platform. The entire 10th grade, and I can say that with confidence now, the entire 10th grade, by the end of tomorrow, would have done it. The majority did it on Friday. And the first assessment that they did was the would you rather. Seems simple, and it is, but that's the fun of it. They're able to pick out, would I rather do this or would I rather do that? And at the end, it gives them a nice little assessment as to what careers could possibly match, what domains could match for them. And then it allows them to explore that a little bit further. Top right is our BOCES trip. This is our first class trip. It's a lot of fun. They get the opportunity to go to the BOCES Center in Valhalla, where they get to pick 2 different speakers working in a variety of industries. For some students, the value is in knowing what they don't like. So often we would get kids back on the bus to tell us about the things that they thought they were really into, which turned out to be something that they really didn't want. And there's value in that. Others get reinforced, others just get to explore different ideas. So that's an exciting day. And then lastly, on the bottom, 10th grade is also about planning how you're going to use the last 2 years of high school. It's scary when I say that out loud, your last 2 years. But it's something to think about. 9th grade and 10th grade are really about the you have to classes. You have to do that English, you have to do that math, you have to do that science and social studies. 11th and 12th grade is when they get to explore their interests and how those interests can connect to potential careers and then to eventually college programs. And so that example on the far right is going to be a program that we're going to launch this year. It's a new one, we're excited. It's about vision boarding and planning for the future. Junior year. So the myth is that it's the scariest year, and it's not. It's the 3rd year. It's an important year. It's where we start formalizing the college process, although we've talked about academic planning since the end of 8th grade. We continued those conversations in the 9th grade, we continued them in the 10th grade, but now we're formalizing it in the 11th grade through formalized college planning, or the advisement season. And it's not only college, it's post-high school planning. So for some it would be military, for some it would be work, for some it would be internship. The majority of our students do go on to college, 4-year schools or 2-year schools. So we do spend a good amount of time on that, but I don't want to neglect or ignore that there are other paths, and we give time for that as well. So we start that process with the juniors in class by hosting in-class sessions, looking at how to do a real search using the platforms that we have and giving them ideas about how to further explore their ideas. The top left corner is actually a poster that we send out every year. It's a little, thank you, postcard. That we ask folks to put up there to save dates. And you'll see it formalizes the advisement season. It also lets them know about the kickoff to the college essay workshop that we do in the spring. A college panel, that's the best one. The college panel is when we work with our colleagues in college admissions. These are the counselors that are reading our applications. So what are great connections for kids to make, for us to make, and for those professionals working in the school to give our families and our students ideas about how they can prepare best. Not just the application, but the nuances of college admissions, putting it in perspective. So that's the work that we do in junior year.
Do the juniors do this in the winter?
The juniors?
Or do they do this at the end of or the midway point through their
So,
sophomore year?
Great. So in the fall, we focus a lot with the seniors and the freshmen, bringing them in, getting the seniors done. I'm going to talk about the seniors in a moment. For the juniors, we formalize the process in December to January. So we start going with the programs in January for them this year. That's when we have it planned.
So these are last year's programs?
Yes, this is a taste of last year's programs. So everything here, because we haven't done it yet, is what we did last year and what we'll continue to do this year. So last year's panel had BC, Syracuse, Wake Forest, USC, and Oswego. It was a dynamic panel. If we can try and do that again, I'll be excited. And then finally, senior year. We start with the seniors, and this is about putting those plans that we started to have conversations about in junior year, those advisement sessions. We did one formal, but we were doing more throughout. Senior year is when we put it in action. Now we're finalizing graduation requirements. We're working with students to start getting their lists together for college applications, and we start the applications as early as August. We listened to the community a few years ago when they said they wanted to jump on it, so we opened up and we went ahead and we did 2 different days in the summer, and we had over 40 seniors come in and start their applications. It helped them feel a little better about starting school. It helped put it in perspective, really demystifying what that application looked like. And then we followed up with a parent presentation. The parent presentation was hosted via Zoom, and it's about the college application process, So the ins and outs of how to get the paper out there, but it's also about how you support your student best and how we can work with you to give you that support and to help guide you in that experience. But we don't just drop our seniors in the fall. We continue to work with them at the later part of the year. After the decisions have been made, we still have conversations about what do we do now. That it continues the advisement, that's tier 1. We host a senior transition alumni panel. So students are learning about the next phase of transition. How do they move successfully from the high school into the college? And they hear it from the alumni who had just graduated the year before, as well as a panel of college admissions and support service people that come in and talk about the support services that are available at the college level. So students are hearing it across levels. The bottom right picture is our second go at it, and that is our college fair. We got lucky with this senior class. We were able to take them to a SUNY college fair in the spring of junior year. That was a wonderful opportunity in the spring. In this senior year, in October 16th actually, we were able to take another cohort of kids to Sarah Lawrence, where they were able to finalize or find schools that they would be interested in. So it just gives more opportunity for students that may not have had the opportunity before. So those are some of the programs. Again, not all of the programs that we do across grades. I end this presentation with the following: our word cloud. So why is it there? I mentioned before the 9th grade university. It was on our PSAT day, which was a dynamic day. As I told you, 2 grades were testing, lucky them. Seniors were working on their college applications with the English department and the school counseling department. The freshmen got to take part in the 9th grade university. This word cloud is generated. This is when I need my notes because my glasses aren't going to help me. This word cloud was generated after they were asked a series of questions. Questions about what kinds of future plans they see for themselves, what kind of goals do they have for themselves, how would they regulate their emotions, and my favorite one, advice to their older selves or to their future self. So if you see on this word cloud, some of this language is reflected or reflective of the work that's been done in the middle school that carries into the high school and stuff that we continue to work with them on. How to regulate, feeling good, working hard, being rich is a good one, looking for success, wanting to go on to college, being happy. So the bigger the word, the more often it's used. And so I give this to you as proof from the current 9th grade that they're hearing the messages and they're taking advantage. So that concludes our presentation for this evening. Thank you.